city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, topics, stipulations, first down, played it. Presenting topics from Kanye to Tom Brady. Facts, keys to the city, we unlocking the statements.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Clovercrest Media presents Keys to the City. What a show we got for you today. Postseason is underway, about to be. We'll have all of that. Joe Aguiar is going to join us in a few minutes. We got NFL. We got college football. Danny Dimes. We'll get into that. What an unbelievable debut. Power rankings. All the good stuff here at Keys to the City. You can check us out on Spotify and YouTube as well if you missed today's show. But here we are, ladies and gentlemen. 162 games.
Not yet.
It's coming down. It's coming to an end.
150.
Baseball. Thank you for correcting me. But it's coming down to the end, finally. The longest sport in our country. It takes forever, and we're waiting for this moment. We are finally here. All the great home runs, the historic home runs this year, the most home runs, records. And it's only going to get, with the way baseball is nowadays, it's only going to rise. Teams breaking their own club records. We just had a 300 home run team last night, the Minnesota Twins. There's been so much good.
The strikeout record.
The strikeout as well. But we started with 30 teams. Now let's be realistic. There's going to be coming down to 10 teams. I know there's still a team in Cleveland that's fighting for their life, but it looks like their season may be coming to an end. And this is a team that we predicted to get to the playoffs in both of our preseason picks. But we are going to be down to 10. And we are going to be joined, and I think he's currently waiting. If you want to get Joe Aguiar, Joseph, come on in. You are welcome as he's walking in behind. He's coming in. But it is now, ladies and gentlemen, postseason time. See, look, he's getting the entrance. What are you, Triple H or something? We started back in April, Joe. All the ups and downs, what to expect from the Boston Red Sox, what to expect from the Philadelphia Phillies. These were all questions. Were the Red Sox going to repeat? The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Astros, all these great teams. A lot of disappointment. But we are down to 10 teams now, fighting for the richest prize in all of baseball. But we're going to start. We'll make our predictions in a few. But we got to start with our New York Yankees. I can't tell you enough about this team this year. And I keep saying that if this New York Yankee team does not win a World Series this year, it'd be nothing but sadness because of what this team has dealt with and what this team is continuously dealing with and still dealing with, the injuries, the suspension of Domingo Germán. It's been one of the most unusual years as a Yankee fan to see where they are right now. First in the AL East, not going to get the number 1 seed. But they're in the postseason. They are one of the favorites.
I love how you changed your persona, though. When we first used to talk about this last year of the show, and then when we started, you always used the word the disappointment if the Yankees win. And Joe, so
Ted, I've been saying,
and you're like it sound like a Yankee typical fan because as a Yankee fan, you have a high expectation of win, or if you don't win, everything's a failure. And it's not a failure. Last year wasn't a failure, even though it was a disappointing year, and you always want to beat the Red Sox, and the Red Sox beating you is always hurtful and disappointing. Mm-hmm. I will say this, though. If they don't at least make the ALCS, it will be a disappointment. It won't be sadness. It will be disappointing. And it's not a knock, and I know we'll talk playoff predictions later, but it will be a disappointing. But it's unbelievable where this team is going. We're literally 3 days away from the season being over, and I just can't believe there's so many question marks with guys like, are they going to be healthy enough to participate and have a factor? What Sanchez hasn't played yet. He's supposed to be coming back. Encarnacion. Gio gets hit in the hand this week. Torres has an MRI. It's just like, it's a never-ending story with this Yankee team. But it is an incredible story of how this team has overcome and moved forward and has won, the second most games in baseball.
Yeah, they're going to be, right now they're in third place, but it doesn't matter. Before I actually get into it, one of your predictions when we had our preseason, you said no team would win 100 games. I want you to know that.
Did I say that?
Swear to God. We checked it out yesterday.
I meant 4. Who knew?
But Joe, you do a Yankees podcast. We're all excited fans right now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Red Sox a year ago. We all anticipated that the Boston Red Sox would be in the ALCS, if not the World Series, if not winning it all. They did just what they started right from the beginning. The New York Yankees look like they've been on a mission all year. Yes, they've had to deal with obstacles. I mean, I guess that's not even a word. It's been injury after injury after injury. It just continues. But this team's still finds a way to win, and is still one of the best teams in baseball. What are you expecting from this New York Yankee team come next Friday? Could be on MLB Network or Fox Sports against the Twins.
Do you remember in June and July how bad the starting rotation was?
Oh yeah, we had arguments here. Literally arguments how bad they were.
How they were trying
5-6.
And we needed to find another
Remember,
pitcher.
we were jumping down Hapsro. Paxton hadn't hit his full stride yet.
We got into heated arguments about, they got to go get Keuchel. They need to go get a pitcher. They got to go get
Well, Severino was still out. Hap was pitching poorly. Paxton had not hit his stride like he has. Tanaka, he gives you 2 good games, and he gives you that bad game. Then he had 2 good games, and and everything was, like I said, like a seesaw, up and down. One week you bash a guy, and then he had a good week. The next week, another guy was
Seemed
bad.
like it always happened.
But there was so much inconsistency, and you're right, Joe. In June, you're wondering, how is this team going to manage? And because it's not about the regular season for the Yankees. We know that. It's all about the playoffs and the World Series. And it's wondering, how can you get that team and that unit to gel to be ready for playoff baseball? Because it is a different... Listen, they talk about it in every sport. Hockey playoffs, football playoffs. It's a different mantra. Everything is tighter.
It's a different field than the regular season.
Sir.
Since September the 1st, the best pitching rotation in baseball is in New York. It's not in Queens. It's in the Bronx. A 2.59 ERA since September 1st. Since the second week of August, all of them have been on fire. Paxton, 10 in a row. Look where Severino's at.
Yep.
Tanaka's an interesting case. I think Tanaka is going to be, in my mind initially, I had Domingo Germán starting a game at home. I thought that was necessary. Tanaka's 8-3 with a 3.10 ERA at home. 3-5 on the road with a 6.16 ERA. Throughout the 2 Red Sox games, it's a 4.36. But you want Tanaka at home. I have a feeling Sebi probably goes game 1. I know that seems crazy.
I was just about to ask you.
I think
one.
Sebi's going game 1.
Game 1 next Friday. You expect Severino to be?
I don't.
Yeah, because he's pitching Saturday. I think it would put him on.
Well, Paxton pitches tonight.
Yeah.
And Tanaka pitches Sunday.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah.
Joe, I don't know.
Listen,
Paxton?
Joe,
He's been lights out.
Joe, I kind of like, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but I kind of like the way it's set up. You have Paxton game 1. Let's get the game 1 at home. Come back with Tanaka in game 2. He pitches better at home. And then game 3, you do kind of the opener.
You know what
I would do the opener type of thing. You either start Severino for 3 or 4 innings, or you start Chad Green and bring Severino in for that one, for that, the next 3 or 4 innings. Because I think what their expectation is, let's get Severino a solid 5 innings. He can give us 5 innings in the postseason.
You know why I think Paxton's a start lefty? Minnesota's a right-handed dominant batting team.
Then you don't want the lefty. You don't want a lefty because
I want
No,
Paxton.
you want a righty versus a righty.
I want Paxton.
No,
I think Paxton
I'm
with
just
the way
saying,
he's
in
been
baseball matchups, Trev, you want righty versus lefty.
No, I know that, but I also
with a team that's so dominant.
I also want the hottest pitcher on the Yankees right now, and that's James Paxton. He's been dominant but also Hap's come on as of late. He's looked great. I mean, that's the thing. It's amazing. This ERA, this team that we bashed throughout the year. And I think that was the one consistency that we really harped on all year as Yankee fans, and us 3. I think we all came to an agreement that the pitching staff was the biggest question mark. But now you look at it, and it's come down to crunch time. They're getting great at the right time.
To say, while we acknowledge that the pitching staff was a problem, I've been saying all year, and you guys remember we came on here before the deadline, I told you they don't need to make a move, that they have the guys that they need, the guys that they have. We knew Paxton could pitch like this. We know Tanaka
in the postseason, he's a big-time pitcher.
We knew, there was some concern. People were like, well, Severino, how do we know if he's going to be good? Because that's what happens. When you haven't pitched all year, you've been rehabbing for a couple months, you come back right where you left off. That doesn't surprise me. Hap's last 4 starts have been fantastic. Obviously, he pitched bulk the other night. Looked great doing
What I'm
that.
noticing-
Hit with Chad Green makes a nice combination.
Noticing he's getting the ball down. He's not a
Yeah.
lot of his stuff when he was early on. He was getting killed because it was all up here and people were just hitting. It was a home run derby every time. Hap was in.
The biggest factor I just thought about it. I think for the Yankees is winning the division and having the whole week off, not having to worry about playing Wednesday or Tuesday. That gives the guys an extra 3 days of rest. And really, right now, the biggest thing that the Yankees need right now is rest. They need rest because you need to be going in guns blazing because we're going to be playing the Twins. And this is not the normal Twins that we've beaten. I saw in the paper this morning, 10 straight games. We've beaten 10 straight games. Beat them last year, then we beat them 2-3-0 series in the wild card series. Going back to 2004, they've met 15 times. And I'll have to look at the paper, just double check the record. But they've been so dominant against the Twins. But this is not the same Twins team. They don't have an ace pitcher. They don't have a Johan Santana, but they have good pitching. They have the kid Jake Arrieta, and they have the kid, your kid, who you took for the Cy Young, Jose Barrios. But we just said it. You started the monologue. Home runs has been a number one talk in baseball this year. They just became the first team in history to hit 300 home runs. They can hit. And if you remember the season series about a month ago in Minnesota, the Yankees could have got swept. That was an incredible series. What a catch, Hicks. That was the last.
Yeah, that was one of the best games of baseball.
I'm just saying this is a different team, and pitching and hitting and rest for this team to have Sanchez back, to have Severino have the full week of rest, to get all the work and to get all the pitchers ready, to get Gleyber Torres back to where he needs to be. Gio gives a couple days of hand rest. Stanton can get the body back to where he needs to be. Judge, listen, this team, it's all about rest. This is like a football team who needs the bye week.
And you said it best. They clinched the division quite some time ago. They're fine with it. They know they're not getting the 1 seed. That's fine. It's going to run through Houston. I don't know what to expect from Houston this year because Correa also is dealing with a back injury now.
They're hopeful he'll be back.
That could be something to keep an eye on. But the Yankees, rest is the most important thing. Get this team 100% and ready to go next Friday against those Twins, because it's going to be a slugfest.
Sure. Look, it's been clear.
I don't expect the ERAs to be low. I don't expect them to be good in the series.
Look, this week the Yankees took their foot off the gas. I kind of suggested that might be the case. I don't think that they think that home field advantage is as important as we all do,
because they think they're that good. They're that
savages.
Yeah. Now the argument I've heard is, look, it's the postseason. Guys don't hit the ball out like
Do you know why it comes?
So all of a sudden they're going to make softballs?
Right. That's what I was going to say. Here's the thing. This season is unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
What is it? 13 teams set franchise
including
records?
the Twins, 13 teams. Atlanta, Boston, Cincinnati, the Cubs, Houston, LA Dodgers, Milwaukee, the Mets, Yankees, Oakland, San Diego, and Washington.
Remember last year?
And Arizona and Cleveland are on pace to do that.
261 last year. We were like, oh my God, you'll never see that again.
Yeah. Remember that?
There's like 4 teams that have beaten 260.
Don't worry, next year we'll have 400.
I think the advantage the Yankees
Imagine what the Yankees would have had if they had a healthy team. Sorry to cut you off.
No, the advantage the Yankees, I think, have is they hit home runs off elite pitchers.
Yes.
And it's funny.
And clutch spots, too.
Right.
Clutch spots when there's 2 outs.
What was the Yankees' record versus Baltimore this year?
17-1.
17-2.
Two. They had the 2 losses early in the season. Remember
and
that?
everybody lost their mind. There was talk about changing the scheduling. Do you know what Houston's record was against Seattle this year?
No.
18-1.
Wow.
They beat the crap out of the Rangers. They've been beating the Angels mercilessly. Yeah. And the only team...
Oakland is the only team that plays them well.
And Oakland put up 3 touchdowns on them the other like a week ago. So here's the thing. You could say what you want about how good the Astros are, and look, the top 3 in that rotation are fantastic.
But here's the thing: would you rather play Baltimore, Toronto, and the Rays, or would you? And the Astros have to play the Mariners, Angels, and Texas. I don't know about you, but as bad as people say Baltimore and Toronto is, the West, with the three teams I just mentioned, the Rangers, Angels, and Mariners, all three of those teams are a lot worse and don't give the same competition. The Blue Jays are competition for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And Trev, just to go off to what I said, I have the exact stat. The Yankees in the last 15 games are 13-2 against the Twins, and they've won 10 straight postseason games against the Twins.
I wanted to say this, how we were just talking about how the Yankees don't worry about the home field advantage thing. You know why? It's because they're bullpen.
Yeah.
They have the best bullpen going into the postseason. They know that all they have to do is get a one-run lead might be enough. Where these other teams like the Astros, the Dodgers, the Braves, teams that are going to be competing.
They did blow two games.
That is true. That is true.
Which has come back to haunt them a little bit.
But that's why going into the postseason, I don't think they really care about not getting home field. I don't think it bothers them as much because they know that they're going in with the best bullpen by far.
At the end of the day, you got to win
in this postseason.
Who's to say? Because this apparently is a foregone conclusion by literally anybody who likes baseball.
It's Houston,
that this is going 7, and then it's going to be Yankees-Houston, right? It's been decided, the ALCS, for the 3rd year in a row.
Houston does not want to see Oakland.
Oh, I agree.
Absolutely
I agree.
not.
I mean,
they'd rather see the Rays or the Twins, but it's not going to happen. I'm going to make the thing. I think it's going to be Oakland playing them, and Oakland in the last few months has given Houston everything they can handle, and especially now if Carlos Correa's back injury is a thing
that could be something to keep an eye on. I said
throughout the postseason, especially early. Listen. There's no guarantee that Houston makes the LCS. Now, there's no guarantee the Yankees either. That's the thing. There is no guarantees. The Dodgers
I'm pretty confident. I'm about a 90.
Yeah.
I'm a 95% confident
Twins.
level.
I'm always in.
Confidence level. I expect the Yankees and Astros 95%.
And I think it works out better for the Yankees playing the Twins. Listen, there's a historical thing with it. The Yankees feel confident. Playing the A's or the Rays would not have been a good matchup, I think, for the Yankees. I really don't. Just because the Rays are the Rays.
So let me get
the Yankees. And when they were bad, they gave the Yankees.
Let me get into one of these questions.
Go ahead, Bob.
Since we're talking postseason, to you, who is the most valuable pitcher and most valuable hitter going into the postseason for the Yankees to be successful?
Well, I've been saying it since the beginning of the year. I thought Severino was going to be hugely impactful.
But is he the most valuable going into the postseason?
He is the most valuable because with Herman out and with obviously Happen Sabathia going to go into the bullpen, you need a third guy in that rotation. That rotation's less scary if it's Happ or Sabathia in that spot, or if you were to go Chad Green in an opener role. Then all of a sudden, Tanaka Paxton's not as formidable as you might think. I'll tell you right now, as well as he's pitched, I still think Severino is a better pitcher than James Paxton. I really do. So that's my guy. Okay. I expect Paxton to keep pitching like he's been pitching. I really do.
To me,
but I think he's the difference maker in all this.
I would say Chapman. I think Chapman needs to be dominant. I say Chapman.
I
have no problem with that. I agree.
And what have we talked about? And you wrote articles about him. What do we always talk about back in the day? When the Yankees had a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead going into the 9th inning,
it was over.
And you heard Sandman come on, you can almost feel it's like
book it.
It's like Brady coming into your own stadium.
Book it.
You're going to the playoffs, you see Brady on the road, you're like,
yep.
Oh God, we got to face these guys again. That's how it was with Mo. Chapman needs to be that dominant alpha male. He needs to come in, have control of that slider, and throw that 105, 103 mile per hour fastball that no one could touch. He needs to be the most valuable.
What about your
pitcher.
hitters? What about your hitters, guys?
Real quick, their worst month this year was the month of July. Because not only was the rotation historically bad, Chapman in particular was terrible. And since then, my goodness,
that's always the Yankees' bad month, and it always is because 2 years ago when they were that team coming into the wild card, August is when they started hitting their stride. If you remember, July they struggled.
And to add to why I say Chapman is the loss of Betances. I think Betances is a big loss, and I think Chapman,
I don't think so.
I think the pressure on him. But I know, but we could have seen if this guy stayed healthy how great he could be.
We know
how dominant he could be. So Chapman, it just gives him that much more pressure.
Okay, so who's your two hitters? Who's your hitter and who's your hitter?
Me?
Because I'll give you mine too after this. Go ahead.
I think Aaron Judge, my preseason MVP selection.
Me and you.
I think he's going to be the difference maker. I think if Aaron Judge has a big series, the Yankees easily move on. I think if Aaron Judge disappears, I think they're in big trouble.
Judge would be my third guy. My two guys before him would be DJ, but my number one would be Gary Sanchez because defensively. Not even hitting, it's defensively. He's been great behind the mound this year, or a catcher's mound. He's been great throwing people out. He looks good. Not a lot of pass balls. He still has that issue, but he has to be great behind the plate. He has to control the game, and I know how him and Severino are with a history. They just can't. It's the weirdest thing that they cannot find this chemistry together. But Gary Sanchez, I know what he's going to do offensively. He has to be clutch, though.
Yep.
And it all comes down to his defense. It's like Chapman. They got to be dominant.
So it's funny because the reason why I was laughing is because when Joe's going, my first initial thought is Severino. And I'll tell you exactly why, and I'll make it quick. Once Herman was out for the rest of the postseason, Severino became the most important Yankee on the team. Then when you said Chapman, I go, you're right too, because you're both right.
You can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
But I think so more so Severino, because there's so many guys in the Yankees bullpen that can close it out and take care of business.
Chapman,
that I
no,
don't
but
worry.
Chapman,
He's the most dominant closer in the game right now. Severino,
You're off the show.
Severino, because of Domingo Germán's suspension for the rest of, makes him the most valuable player because if he can come back to what we expect and what he has been, he's the most. Now for me as the hitter.
Yep.
You're right. When Judge is clicking, they're a different team.
Oh,
when
yeah,
Sanchez,
of course.
he's dominant. My guy, though, is none of those guys.
Glaber.
No, it's Gardner. He is the leader. When he is on base, he has the speed that no one else. He makes things happen for this team. He is the bell that gets this team going.
Hey, your credibility is coming back with sports, especially with that Dolphins take. I'm still bashing you for that.
Because listen, Gardner has shown power that we have never seen from him this year. Now you could take it what it's worth with the balls and whatever, but you still hit 27 home runs, and I don't care. You still hit them. But when he gets on base, his ability to go from first to third or first to home is like no one else on the team except for Tyler Wade.
Yeah.
Okay, and his speed and his defense, and you could see it when he's hitting home runs. Him and Judge have this little competition going together.
He's going to be Judge,
and he's the old guy.
Who thought he's going to be Judge?
He's the old guy. Listen, he's the old guy, but he's the leader, and things run through him. And if he's the bottom of the lineup, 8 and 9, because you expect DJ to get on base, if he gets back up to that lineup, and now you get DJ and all those guys, and he's on base, you think the team is just going to.
Let me add to this point about Chapman. You said the bullpen, the depth of the bullpen. That's great. If they're great, he comes in and he struggles, and we've seen him at times struggle. That doesn't concern you more than Severino because of the depth. And that's why I would take Chapman because of you have that depth. You have Chad Green.
Let's say
Severino struggles.
Hold on.
But
let's say Chapman blows saves in the first 2 games. You come back and win anyway. And here you are, Game 3, 9th inning. I can go with Britton. Chapman, I think, really is the key because, especially with the way the home run balls are flying, he needs to be at his best, and he's been. So I think that's great. If something were to happen to Severino between now and the end of the season, he will be replaced in the rotation by your pick, Sabathia or Happ.
And that's a big downfall.
And I love both of those guys. And I think both of those guys could come up big in the right moment. I wouldn't bet the horse, the ranch on it.
Okay.
So that's, to me, I totally see the value in Chapman. And I think if Chapman is the dominator that he's been the last couple months, this team could roll.
Yeah.
And to get back to that point, I don't know that this is going to go 7. I don't know that the Yankees need 7 games
we'll see.
To take out the Astros, and I think that's the mindset Booney's going in with.
So let's get into, we made our preseason picks. Now we're going to give our current predictions of who's going to win the MVP, Cy Young. So, Joe, I'm going to start. Who is your AL Cy Young winner?
I got to tell you, I've been really on the fence about this, but I was really looking up his numbers last night. Garrett Cole has done something we haven't seen in Major League Baseball, the dominance.
14-0 with a 1.87 ERA.
Since Roy Halladay.
Since May 27th.
I mean, he's been unbelievable. So he's, I mean, just
him or Verlander.
The strikeouts. I think, again, I looked at their numbers side by side. I'm giving Cole the edge.
So this is
I'll give Verlander. He wins 20 games.
This is why I jumped with you because I have it right
Cole's
in
at
front of me.
19.
So
He's got a chance.
Verlander's microscopic whip is .806, which is second lowest by a starting pitcher since 1961. Only Pedro Martinez's .74 in 2000 was lower. But the reason I go with you, Joe, too, is Garrett Cole. 14-0 with a 1.87 ERA, 18 Ks per 9 since May 27th. The Astros are 18-2 in those starts. He's just the third Astro pitcher with a 300 strikeout season. Add that to the thing.
It's a toss-up. To me, it's a toss-up.
Listen, you can't go.
I'll tell you one
you
other
can't
thing.
go wrong with either Astros pitcher.
About a month ago, when I wrote an article making the argument for Herman to be in the conversation. Not that I thought he could win. And one of the things I noted about Verlander was Verlander's actually given up 4 earned runs or more often in a game this season than Herman had. Cole is less than both of those guys. Okay. He's been nearly flawless since the month of May. And to me, that just speaks volumes. I love the 20. You know, I'm a wins guy.
Yeah,
I think it still matters a little bit. Cole's on the cusp, though. I think he might get it.
So let's get over to the NL. Who do you got for the NL Cy Young?
Well, I tell you who it ain't. It ain't a guy with 11 wins. His name is Steven Strasburg. He finally put together a big boy season. 18 wins, 251 strikeouts, and if you need this, nerds, a 6-3 WAR. He's been huge for the Nationals. This is what we've been waiting for from Strasburg for a long time, and I think he finally, 33 starts, he had a big boy, full, healthy season.
I just have DeGrom.
So I know Trev's going to get annoyed because I'm going to go a little longer, but I'm going to make this real quick. MLB.com did a poll vote right now as of this past week. Scherzer was second. DeGrom was 1. And this is, I highlighted this because I wanted to print this out for you, Joe. No Mets pitcher, not Tom Seaver, not Dwight Gooden, not Jerry Kuzman, or anyone has won 2 straight Cy Youngs for the Mets. Since May 21st, DeGrom leads the NL with strikeouts with 255. His whip is .97 and is first in every major variation of pitcher WAR and second with 204 innings. If he wins, he'll join Seaver and Good as the only Mets strikeout to have 250 batters in consecutive seasons, and move alongside Gooden, Greg Maddux, Clayton Kershaw as the only pitchers in the last half century to post a sub 2.10 ERA in over 2-year span.
To that, I say, big deal. That's your job. Listen. Let me ask you both a question, and this is a one-word answer, but what is the point of a baseball game?
To win.
Oh.
In any sports.
To win, right? The win. The number one reason why we show up to root our team on is to watch them win. And now we're being told by nerds with protractors, those don't matter. It's a team. It's a team stat. Yet, when I'm looking in the win-loss columns, I don't turn the baseball card over and go, oh, how many wins did Aroldis Chapman have this year? It doesn't matter. Even though it's a team stat, I'm looking to see how many saves he had, because that's what closers do. I'm checking my bullpen guys out for holds. Don't tell me that pitchers don't win games. It's stupid. Okay? That's your whole job. Nobody gave Corbin $30 million a year for no decisions. Okay, we didn't.
But the Mets historically blew games.
They didn't
this year.
sign it for. I understand that, but I heard the same garbage last year.
I know.
This team is infinitely better than it was last season when all they did was go. Oh, they don't score. The bullpen's horrible. You went out and got one of the best relievers in baseball, and you know what he did? He did what everybody does when they get to Queens. He sucks.
Yeah, he's not wrong on that.
Do yourself a favor. Why don't you see if you can get Edwin Diaz to prolong his contract 35, 40 years, you idiots. I'm so tired of this nonsense. If DeGrom wants to win a Cy Young, win some damn games.
Do you think Strasburg?
Ridiculous.
Do you think Strasburg's the best pitcher on that team, the Nationals team?
No, sure.
I do.
Sure, sir.
This season,
I'm asking.
This season, Strasburg was better than Scherzer, and I think you could argue Corbin was as good as Scherzer. The numbers are outstanding, and I'll tell you what. Strasburg's ERA is a touch higher than everybody else's because of a couple of bad starts.
The question will come down to Joe's point. Will it come down to analytics and numbers, or will it come down to reality?
It came down to analytics and stuff like that. This year it could come. Let's go to the NL, AL MVP.
And the Nationals also are making the playoffs too, so it does back
the NL MVP. Who is your NL MVP?
Cody Bellinger is an absolutely sick player. A 300 average, 46 homers, 114 RBI. The only other guy I really dig, and I didn't want to go two Nationals, I think Anthony Wren having an like a superstar kind of year. 124 RBI.
Contract year.
We were talking the other day. You mentioned Bryce Harper was going to get to 100 RBI. I think Machado's in the ballpark, and I'm thinking 100 RBIs, that should be the minimum that you're doing at that kind of money.
Those guys.
You should be, if you're a superstar slugger or you want to be in the conversation for best hitter in the game, biggest run per, you better be at about 130, 150 RBI or, I'm sorry, pay cut.
So I would go with Bellinger. He's been the best player on the best team in the NL.
And he's been the most consistent all year.
Only other player Rendon or Acuna has been insane for the Braves.
Listen, Yelich has to be in the top
Yelich
3.
has to be, but him
I'm not
getting
going to
injured
knock
down
it because
the
he
road,
had a kneecap.
it's kind of like Trout with the AL. I think Trout is not going to win because the injury. I mean, if he hit 50 home runs, probably. For my AL, I picked DJ. I mean, I've been on DJ all year. I know he's not going to win it, but I've been on him all year. I've been wanting him to win. Look at the Mets and Jet Fair right there.
Why would somebody walk by this studio right now in a Mets DeGrom t-shirt?
He's nasty. For AL, NL, who do you got?
I have Bellinger.
Okay, so
simple.
we're all on Bellinger.
Yes.
So we're all on Bellinger. The AL, we all thought it was going to be Trout. I think it's either going to come down to LeMahieu or Bregman.
No, it's going to come down to Trout and Bregman, and Trout's going to win it because...
No, I think Bregman's going to
Trout's going to win it, bro. It's not going to matter the last 2 weeks he's out. And I know. What does he mean? Because I had this argument with someone on Twitter. If it's the best player, and Joe screamed about this, then just give it to Trout for the next 10 years because he's the best player.
What's the point?
But if it's the most...
LeBron James thing.
If it's the most valuable player...
Yep.
Then we got to recategorize this thing because we know Trout's the best player. It's not an argument between anyone in the world. He's the best player.
By far.
But if your team is 25 games under 500, how can you be the best player? How can you be an MVP? Now, do I think DJ gets it? No, I don't think he's going to get the numbers. He's kind of dropped a little bit. His batting average is not number one in the AL anymore. Whatever.
He's been consistent all year.
And you can make the argument that sometimes he's not the best player in the Yankees. That's why I think it'll go to Alex.
He is still hitting 387 with runners in scoring position.
I'm just saying. So who do you got?
I got LeMahieu.
It'll probably be Bregman or Trout.
He's fourth in WAR at 6-1. I mean, I know he's not Mike Trout.
I bet you DJ doesn't finish in the top 3. And that's no disrespect.
I think it's disgusting. But if it's got to go to somebody not LeMahieu, then I'd like to see Bregman get it. He had a monster year, especially with Correa being busted up.
And the numbers
so
you said, I mean, we talked about it quick beforehand. The kid Marcus Semien from Oakland they mentioned, and Alexander Bogarts, 30 home runs, 50 doubles, 100 RBIs. Yeah, I know you didn't make...
He was great too. I mean,
he's been great. You can make just.
If I had to pick LeMahieu, that would be my guy, just because of his consistency throughout. He's been the most important player.
Where would the Yankees be? Without DJ LeMahieu?
Who knows?
When you consider all the positions. When you consider everything that guy has done for this team this year.
If Aaron Boone doesn't make that move, who knows?
I mean,
who knows what the offense looks like?
Let's call him what he is. DJ LeMahieu has been a super utility player this year.
Yes.
Super utility players don't have a 6-1 WAR. They don't drive in 99 runs, and they shouldn't even be in the conversation for MVP.
Usually they're coming off the bench.
Correct.
And
this guy's a monster.
He was the best player.
A monster. And I mean...
Best player from last year's free agency class.
And wasn't supposed to start.
Yes.
Let's get into our playoff predictions quick. So I got the Nationals over the Brewers in the wild card, and I got the A's over the Rays. That's how I got it going. Who do you got?
Same.
Okay. Ted.
So wild card, I had the Oakland beating Rays. Okay. So that means Oakland's going to...
you have the same thing as us.
I didn't listen to what you're saying.
I don't
like listening to you. But no, I had the Yanks over the Twins, and I have the Astros over Oakland. I do.
It's the same thing. Okay. Let's get over to the divisional round.
Wow. What are you on? Rush hour?
Oh, I don't know. I got Mr.
Settle down, Chris Tucker. It's not rush hour.
It's because he's had his monster this morning.
Yeah.
So now he's
he did. Yeah, he's like
I'm ready to go.
Buzzing right now.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk about Danny Dimes.
What do you want to know?
Danny Dimes.
What else?
So the NL divisional round. This is where it gets interesting for me because I got the Nationals beating the Dodgers.
Do you now?
Yes.
It's going to be a great matchup when you think about the pitching in that series.
His team is better off without Bryce Harper. They're a better team. I love that. The Juan Soto is a star in the making.
And those two teams have the biggest question marks with their bullpen.
They better sign Anthony Rendon to a long-term contract because he's one of the top 10 best players in baseball right now. The pitching staffs, well, that should be interesting to watch.
What do you got in the other one, bud? Do you have the Brewers or the Cards?
I got the Braves over the Cardinals. I got an all-NL East. I got an all-NL East NLCS.
So, quick question. So
like that?
So you had,
and our boy Brian Force is over there. If he heard me, he'd be happy. I got the Braves in the NLCS.
Yes, sir.
So what about you, Joseph?
No, I've got the Cardinals and the Dodgers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Flaherty is having an unbelievable pitch.
Tell me I'm wrong, but the
Goldsmith's
Cardinals were basically buried this year. It was like the Cubs and the Brewers.
In June, they got all the hype.
Right?
We were talking about like, oh, this is a 3-team race, but realistically, we were always thinking the Brewers and the Cubs.
The Cardinals, like Oakland, always find a way to just get in there, and you look at the roster and you're like, how are they doing it? And that's scary to me when you can't even figure out how they're doing it.
One of the most successful franchises in all of baseball.
And it's funny, Joe, because you picked the Brew Crew to win the division this year. Because we wrote down all our playoff predictions.
Yeah, Ted had the Phillies. I had the Nats. Joe had the Nats as well.
If Yelich was back in, I might take Milwaukee all the way.
They are hot.
They sure are. I just think.
Do you think they beat the Nationals?
In a grueling series like this, I think
they beat the Nationals?
I think the Nationals.
See, here's the thing. The Nationals can throw Scherzer.
I think the Nationals are finally going to get over that hump that everybody's been saying. We've been waiting for this team to finally.
But this Brewers team is 19 and 2,
I just think with the impact of not having Yelich, if Yelich is there, changes everything because he's that great of a player. Having him not there could come down to the why. It could, like, clutch moments. You need a player like him to be in those clutch moments. He's not there. It's going to be tough.
Listen,
I love that pitching staff of Nationals right now. The bullpen is a question mark. We all know that.
Listen, I'm black and white on the thing. I got the Braves over the Cards. I think the Braves have the best.
And you got the Dodgers over the
Dodgers over the Nationals.
Okay.
I think both series goes 5 games. I think and the reason why I say the Braves is because I think the Braves have the best opportunity to beat the Dodgers.
Do we even go to the AL because we already have our matchups?
I think we're good there.
I think we're good. Okay, so let's get to the AL.
Well, we have the Yankees.
Yes, we have the same thing. There's no point.
I'm just gonna ask. Do you think?
Just real quick, talking about your Brewers, they've beat on the Reds, the Pirates, the Padres. Had a series where they got beat down by the Cardinals, the Marlins, Cubs.
Okay, so I get so teams that are all not in playoffs.
Yes,
other than the Cardinals,
the Brewers
and they
are
lost.
Again. Good. This is the unbalanced schedule. They're feasting on bottom feeders, and it gets you into the playoffs. But does that prepare you to face the Nationals? No.
All right. So the NLCS for me, I have the Nats beating the Braves. I have the Nationals going to the World Series. And, of course, in the LCS, I got the New York Yankees beating the Astros.
I have the Dodgers in 6 over the Cardinals.
Okay.
And I have the Yankees in 6 over the Astros.
Yeah, I mean, mine's...
I'm not going 7.
I mean, mine's. I'm going to stick to exactly what I had.
They're going to win.
Yeah, they might even sweep.
Beginning of the season, I had the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series, and I had the Yankees winning, and that's what I'm going to stick with. I think both series go 7 games. I do. I think the Yankees beat the Astros in 7, and I think the Dodgers end up, because of the home field advantage, and they're a different team when they're home, they'll end up beating the Braves in 7, and you're going to get the ideal matchup that I think baseball's kind of wanted to see for such a long time. You're going to get LA and New York, Dodgers, Yankees. Hey, for baseball, I think they're hoping for it, but we'll see what happens.
I got the Yankees beating the Nats in 6.
I think the Yankees and the Dodgers have been the 2 best teams for almost the entire season.
And the Astros. Got to put the Astros there.
The Yankees have been the best team in the American League. It was literally...
those 3 teams have been
I understand that. But it's literally been the last 2 or 3 weeks where the Astros really started keeping pace and then passed the Yankees. And of course, they didn't have nearly any of the situation or the adversity that the Yankees faced. And again, they've been in a division that they should have handily won, and couldn't even do that. So for all the talk about how good Houston is, I don't see it.
You know what everyone's going to say, Joe? They got the 3 big guns pitchers. They got Cole, they got Verlander, and they got Greinke.
Hey, well, we got Severino back. That's a huge
No,
addition.
I know. But people are going to say, it's like a name brand thing.
Absolutely. Again, if we were playing this on paper, why would anybody even show up to play the Astros? They're that good.
They are.
But you have to play the games. And when you do, anything can happen, especially when the balls are flying out at a 12% higher rate than they have at any point in the history of the game. you're going to see a lot of home runs in this postseason, which is exactly what baseball wants.
Okay.
But it makes everyone
Final question for both of you.
open for business.
Player
Absolutely.
or team, who was the most disappointing this year? It could be a player. It could be a team. Whatever you want.
Phillies.
The Boston Red Sox.
And Phillies. Mine was Phillies and Red Sox.
Mine would be the Red Sox.
Mine and Red Sox, but you know what? That happens to them.
And
when they win the World Series,
The Cubs. I think this is the final tenure of Joe Madden. I think he's done with the Cubs. I think he's going to get fired, and I think they're going to.
I think all three of us are right.
I think they're
Phillies, Cubs, and
I
the
think
Phillies
they're
had
gonna
all the
break it
hype.
up. I think they're going to break up the whole system. They're going to start trading it. The whole Cubs that we thought were going to win multiple championships.
I just
it's
look
over.
forward to ESPN maybe tapping the brakes on their love of the Cubs. It's been a little much.
So we're all.
No, I think
glad
that-
this
good.
is
So
over.
we're all different.
Yes,
That's good.
Yeah, because I think that for me, the Phillies had the biggest hype going into the season with all the money
Yeah,
they
like
spent. The
Cleveland.
guys,
Like
I
the
think
Cleveland
you're
Browns.
right. It's the Cubs. They had the pitchers. I said before, I thought they had a great 5 pitchers, and they
then
had the
the Red
lineup.
Sox-
Can
And
I
then the
give
Red
you a
Sox-
specific guy who I thought was the most disappointing
Yeah, give me a
baseball
pl- yeah, give
player
me a
in the
pl-
game?
give me a player.
Chris Sale.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we thought he was hurt. They said he wasn't. Got a lot of strikeouts, but pitched like garbage.
Maybe your guy,
and,
Kylan Freeland.
is he even in professional baseball after a
We
third round,
we should have had that on.
third place finish of the Cy
You guys
Young?
make some great takes. Let me tell you about that. You with football, you with baseball, Freeland.
Oh, this guy never makes a bad
I
take.
never make. I'm perfect.
You're good.
So
I'm good. I'm not great.
in the
I'm
next
good.
in the next month, I will pay up. Just to finish off the segment, we made a bet in the beginning of the season that DeGrom would win. You said DeGrom would not win 12 games. He is not going to pitch again.
And you also said that Sanchez would have 35 home runs, but he's not. He's going to finish with 34. So
There's 3 games to go.
it's done. He's not getting it.
You think he plays?
I think they're going to get him into at least one game, maybe 2. One maybe as a DH, and maybe one where he catches a little bit.
All right.
Or at the very least, I think they're going to get him one game where he's
Think about
behind
this.
the plate.
Next week we will be live when the Yankees are on.
Well, it's go
So
time.
weird.
It's go time.
We got this.
Postseason time. Quest for 28 starts next week. We'll see what happens. Joseph, as always, thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
for having me on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking NFL. A new segment. Neither or either. Could the Patriots and Dolphins make history? We'll talk about that. Also, we got to talk about the New York Giants. We haven't been able to. Danny Dimes. Talk all about that. Keys to the City. We'll be right back, folks.
Yeah. Keys to the city, baby. When you see us, so you know you really viewing greatness in the making. Double up on facts we stating. Podcasting, cruise control, city, state, the nation. So what you saying, what we saying, prime information. Facts, keys to the city, we're unlocking the statements.
Streaming every Friday.